Welcome to the Wake.Show. As everybody knows, a show needs an intro. This is that intro. I am Fisher, your host, featuring Chris McCarty. We only got a couple minutes with him because he has a big meeting.
It's a big meeting. Hit the road. Hit the meeting.
I didn't know yesterday when Cords came in and said that you guys had the meeting today. I didn't know it was going to be, you guys have to take off here in a couple minutes and get on the road. I don't know. I only have you for a minute or two.
Yes.
So let's go ahead and welcome in our sponsor for the first 15 minutes, Single Source Insurance. Thank you so much, Single Source, for being part of the Wake.Show. The Wake.Show, if you're new, like and share. We really appreciate that.
Like and share.
And if you're joining us for the first time, this show is about just breaking into a song, improv song for an hour. Words get tossed out, songs get sung. That's how it happens. That's how it goes around here. Chris, how are you doing this morning?
Man, I'm well, man. Really, really well.
All right, good. I know you were doing some You were working with some kids this morning, weren't you?
Yeah, I volunteered over at Plum Elementary School for a little autism class. And man, it was so fun. They were so great. And they're just excited, and then that's why I have this big smile on my face. I'm just like, God, it just feels so good to do that. I tell everyone, man, you guys got to do that stuff. It feels good.
And one of the things, charity work always helps. Or at least I was told, like, during the times when it was hardest for me to get out of the house, a few years ago, and you're wallowing in depression and whatnot.
Right.
And people used to say, man, get out and help somebody else.
Get
out and help somebody else, and you'll feel better. Just get yourself out the door, go volunteer somewhere, and you'll just feel better.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, I'm not like in a bad space or anything, but I mean, it's just there's a good balance. There's a good balance, Good. I mean, just to be around just to children and to see that the effect you have on them, and even if you're there for like an hour, to know that they appreciate it, like they hold on to that. I don't know, man.
And for those of you that are, this will be the last week of a direct live stream to my personal page, Chris Fisher 54321, and that'll migrate over to the Wake.Show. So if you could do that this week, go ahead and get in the habit of watching us every day at the Wake.Show.
And the Wake.Pups are.
And the Wake.Pups are here today as well. Follow them on Instagram to get the most adorable pics that you'll ever see. All right, so we only got a couple minutes. There's a few things that I want to hit while you're in here. Actually, so I don't rush. I don't trip over myself. There's no reason. Shh, we haven't told them. We haven't told anybody.
Oh,
well, I guess you feel comfortable enough then.
Yeah.
Because the reason that yesterday when Cords was in here and he and I were talking about it, I guess it had more to do. Not with I didn't feel like we weren't allowed to say anything. It's more of I've been doing it this long enough that I don't want to I've been there's been a million meetings in my career, and so I don't want to, we're meeting with so-and-so, we're doing this, we're doing that.
Yeah.
And then it goes nowhere, so.
I understand what you mean. I think in this kind of situation, it's not a bad thing just trying to tell people what's going on in our lives. Like, this is what we're doing, and and so here's a great story. Chase Rice sent this to me, right? He's a deep dude. We like to talk about like just trying to better ourselves. And he sent me this thing. Where's my phone? He sent me, it was like a story of a guy who wanted to study with a mage, right?
With a what?
A mage.
Like a magi.
Magi. And so, and he said, how long would it take for me to be as wise as you? And he goes, 5 years. And he goes, okay, well, what if I studied twice as fast? He goes, 10 years.
I love it.
Okay, well, what if I did every day and every night and never stopped? He goes, 15 years. He goes, wait, I don't understand. If I'm doing all this extra, why would it take longer? He goes, because you have one eye to focus on the future. And so if you're going as fast, it's going to take you even longer to get to the destination because you're too busy worried about the destination instead of right now.
Yeah, the journey versus destination.
So we say, in sharing the story, it's not a matter of like we're saying, hey, we're going to meet this person because we think that maybe it'll lead to this. We're just meeting this person just because it's just cool.
All right, so we'll let the cat out of the bag then. Chris will be taking off after the show and meeting with the producer, right? Is this okay?
Yeah.
All right. The producer of the Rush Limbaugh Show, and that I've always known him as Snerdly, but Chris knows him as James. So in the past, when he would bring up that he knew that one of his dads or somebody you consider a father figure works for the Rush Limbaugh Network. He works on Rush's show, and I'm like, oh, well, that's cool. And he would always say James. I don't know who the hell James is. nobody who ever listened to Rush Limbaugh knows who James is. Right. And so one day he said he was his producer. I'm like, you mean Snerdly? Yeah. That's his name. That's his name.
Well, so I was 25 when we met, and his best friend is Omar Hakim. Omar is like a world-renowned drummer, like amazing. Right?
Okay.
And so at a show we met and we ended up talking, and it was just amazing, just the relationship we have. And so when I talk about father figures, I have a spiritual father figure who's like African. Baba Charles, he passed away in 2013. Very sad time. That's the story I told everyone about me crying in the airport. That's the one who passed away. And James is.
Let me pull up a picture of James while you're talking about him, or pull up some pictures of him while you're talking about him.
There, beautiful man. Love that man. And he is my conservative dad, right? And then I have my father who's left side. So it's like I have the trifecta. I've got like spiritual, African, and then you've got Republican and then Democrat. So I got the whole thing, which is great. So he's the father I never had, and the son he never had, and we really into music. James and I will sit and listen to music. We play video games. My dad, my actual father, James. It's funny, James McCarty and James Golden. So all into music, but my dad never played video games with me. Me and James Golden, we will go at it, talking smash. Read you the text he sent me.
Does Snerdly have any kids himself?
He has a daughter. Yep.
He has a daughter. Okay.
But no boys. So we talk about me doing this it's right down the alley of him. So we just, I think that's part of the conversation, because obviously we're involved in doing the Wake.Show, and I want to be great at anything that I do, because life's so short, and why not ask the best? Hey, anything you can do to help point us in a direction. So I think that's part of the reason why we're actually going to go down there, just to, we want this to be successful, and you don't try to recreate the wheel. Go to someone who understands how they did it. And I asked him, it was funny yesterday. I said, hey, I call back. He's like, hey, I said, hey, Dad. He goes, hey, son. I'm like, how famous are you? He's like, what? He's like, what kind of question is that? I said, oh, no, I'm just laughing because everyone's really excited to meet you. He's like, okay, Chris, we touched maybe 28 million viewers a weekly. And I was like,
28 million a week.
I was like, what? He's like, yeah. I said, shut up. I said, all this time. So by the way, and he knows this, I've never listened to their show in the last 14, 15 years of being with them. I've never listened to a show once. So I had no idea. I had no clue. But it's cool, man. It's cool. I'm really proud of him. I'm proud of the whole thing. And just, he was there at Johanni's naming ceremony, and he's the dad I've never had. It's cool. It's very cool.
A naming ceremony.
It's like an African tradition, basically. So when Charles, and it's funny how Baba Charles, my spiritual father, and James, they met at the ceremony that Charles did, and they found out they were only 6 days apart in birth, like days. So they had this past life connection, and they knew it. It was insane watching them just talking for hours, right? And James actually came down with me when we said bye to Charles. It was he and I who drove down to Miami, and we were the last people besides his kids that he saw. And so the naming ceremony is essentially it's the baby's born for a week, and no one knows the name except for the mother and father.
I love it.
The godparents show up, and they do a reading. It's like a life reading. And so there's they bring all the different elements. Honey, it never ever goes bad. All this stuff. And then they kind of tell you what the kid's life is, what he was in the past life. They
do the same thing. My friends who are Hindu, they guess there's something in that culture as well where they do the same thing. The grandparents come in and do that. Yeah. And then they give you... They like lay out your life for you.
Yeah. So
is that the same thing?
Yeah. So we were told to, no sports with the head. Be very mindful of his head. Sometimes Johnny complains about his forehead hurting, which is interesting. He will be very good looking. He will be very impulsive. He will be. This is what he's just saying. And he goes, when it comes to the looks, you must make sure that he understands it's just genetics. You didn't do anything for it. It doesn't make you better. I gotta hone in on that. Make sure he doesn't smoke weed. You know, my child, he's addicted to sugar. Like, he knows what it does. He's always looking back for it. So we look at that like, okay, make sure he doesn't.
Come on, Dad. I know you got a Snickers in the
you don't
fridge.
understand.
I know you got one of them Snickers.
He's just, and he said, look at the sugar, Dad. Like, I'm 5 years old. Yeah, but that's so, and James
Can I get a spoonful of jelly? Just a little bit of jelly.
Give me some of that jelly,
jam.
Daddy. You know you want it, Daddy. And James was there. He recorded the whole thing. It was just like a proud, like, you know, kind of pseudo grandfather moment. Like, it's great, man. You know, it's like, and I'm, you know.
Okay, so let's bring in, because for some of you that have been following me for years, you know, you bring up the Rush Limbaugh's a very divisive, you know, character in American pop culture, and I know immediately can send people running to their corners, their respective corners. But know that this conversation has nothing to do with conservatism versus liberalism, left, right, Democrat. It is Snerdley, Rush's longtime producer, going back to the early 90s, is James.
Yeah.
And he is very excited about what Chris is doing right now, wants to learn more about it and see if there's any advice that he can give us to get us next level, or if something that, you know, I don't know. Who knows? Who knows what could come of this meeting? We're going to see the Oracle. So let's bring in Cords Owen now. Because Cords and I were the Oracle.
So real. Here's a cookie. You'll feel better after you eat it. That's awesome.
So you know, you weren't in here, Cords, when Chris was first talking about it and how he called James yesterday. He's like, "Hey man, how famous are you?" Or were you in here when he said that?
I just heard him say that.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's the most successful radio show producer ever, I would say.
Maybe. I had no idea.
Yeah, probably ever, all the way probably going back until that was the only way that people could mass media, right? So after TV, I think radio probably went down, but he's got more listeners on a daily basis. It is the most successful talk radio show ever.
And you know, I started listening to Rush in the early 90s, and you're thinking, Fish, I didn't know you were such a right-winger. Settle down. I'm not, and I never was. There's a couple things that attracted me to that show early on, and one was just that there was somebody talking about something. You know, I was getting into radio in the early 90s, and when you would flip through, you would just hear stupid radio bits, right? It's okay. I made a good living off of stupid radio bits. I don't resent them. But for me personally, I couldn't listen to the FM radio. I couldn't listen to the radio because it's just DJs being DJs.
Right.
So that's when I came across him talking about the news of the day. Of course, I know it leans right, but back then I didn't even really have a concept of this right-left, that everything was, you know,
this or that.
Right. I don't know. It was because he was talking about something, but I had to listen to him every day. If I didn't listen to him, it bothered me. He came on at noon. When I moved to Tallahassee from, I tracked down the radio station he was on. I want to bring politics into this for just a second, because back then, coming out of high school, I was no party affiliation. After Clinton was voted in, there was something I didn't like. I just felt like he was swarming, and
there was something you didn't.
Yeah, I don't like about him.
Yeah.
And I go, well, okay, well, now I know I'm not a Democrat, so let me go ahead and register Republican. Well, within a couple of years, the Republicans had pissed me. I was like, no, okay, well, I'm not a Republican either. So I went back to no party affiliation. Have been there ever since. I stopped listening to that particular program, you know, on a daily basis back in the 90s, but it continued up through the election of Barack Obama, where I could listen to him, and there were some other conservative commentators out there like Dr. Michael Savage, and that was about it. No, I guess Neil Bortz. There was a few that I could listen to. Did you ever listen to Neil out of Atlanta?
Yeah, Boo Got Shot is one of his most famous bits.
I don't know that one.
Yeah, it's pretty funny. I mean, Neil Bortz was pretty good. So
but he's not a right winger. He's more like libertarian.
No, he's
right?
very libertarian, right? So like Neil Bortz, I was at school in Atlanta when Neil Bortz was on the radio, and he was basically preparing for retirement when I was there at that time. So it was like very, very early 2000. So like 2001 is when I graduated from college, right? But
what happened to me is as 2008 came, you know, and Obama came onto the scene, the tone, you know, I'm a sensitive guy. Like Chris, I'm a sensitive guy. And I feel like I can pick up on like the tone changing. Mm-hmm. And the tone changed. And what used to seem like more pragmatic approaches to the issues of the day seemed a little bit more visceral.
It got more polarizing.
Yeah, and I didn't like it. I didn't like it, and so I stopped. That was about 2008, 2009. That was it for me when it came to Fox News and Bill O'Reilly. That was it for me with Rush Limbaugh and Michael Savage. I mean, that guy is a genius. I mean, he has abilities that just blow my mind as a broadcaster. But man, when he starts going on about certain things, especially the gays, it just makes me feel so disgusting inside. I can't listen to the guy anymore. So now fast forward, here we are.
You've changed. That's awesome.
Me and Chris McCarty, doing a show in 2018, and we have an opportunity to get in front of James Golden, the producer for Rush Limbaugh's show, and at minimum, get some advice on what we should do moving forward, and who knows what else could come from it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I'm super excited. I have a tremendous amount of respect for the guy. I've always thought the Rush Limbaugh show is a lot about the business of politics, with some conservative principles thrown into it. But it's what I think, if you listen to that show, it talks about the deliberate messaging and about how, like, the mechanics of how a political party will get their message out and respond to certain things. And it's like, the more you listen to it, the more you start to figure out that it is not like by accident that these things are coming out into the news, and there's an actual like mechanism behind a lot of it.
What turned me off to that political radio going back a few years is that everything came down to right wing, left wing, and since there's more right wing commentators on the radio than there are left wing, you would hear, so when something happened on their side, Bush did something wrong, or there's something that they should be dealing. No, they spin it and immediately turn it back on. Well, we're not going to talk about our issue right now. Let's talk about the last time that they were in a similar issue 10 years ago, and then we'll talk about the hypocrisy of the whole thing.
Right.
It's always about the hypocrisy. It doesn't matter what side you're listening to, because XM Radio has a good platform because they've got left and right talk radio channels. And so if you listen to the left, it's the same thing. They point out hypocrisy. If you listen to the right, the same thing. Because it's the easiest way to discredit anyone is to basically make them look like they're hypocrites.
Let's go back 25 years and show you at a point in history where the media was being hypocritical back then. So how come they're being so hard on our guy now?
What if, just hearing this, I can't, maybe our shtick is just we're the down the middle dudes.
You're whatever.
Because one thing the reason that I do not speak on politics is because of James. He told me, he flat out said, Chris, you don't know enough about politics to even form opinions, so it's just best to stay away from it. And I'm like, that makes perfect sense.
Okay, I'll give him that about politics, because like Cords was saying, just there's a business of politics. There's a thing in politics that we don't get. That doesn't mean we can't have our opinions about the issues of the day and about the direction of the country and so on.
But again, as a musician, you're an entertainer, a musician.
Right. Michael Jordan's famous quote, "Conservatives buy shoes too." If he stays out of it. And it's the smartest thing. I mean, you look at some of these guys, and like they have very much affected their like livelihoods based on taking a position on one side or the other. I mean, look what's happening to Kanye right now.
Yeah, that's true. And I feel like, and again, I can't wait. And I'll show you on the drive. But the only time I ever spoke about anything that seemed political, there's a video on Facebook. If you go to my Facebook page, you can look at the video. It's called. We'll play it. We'll play it tomorrow, or when I come back tomorrow. We'll look at it tomorrow. But it's like it very much so. I see people from the right side, left side, all chiming in, and they were all thinking the same thing. Like, you know what, dude's got a point. I wasn't trying to take sides. I just want to look in another perspective. Just try a new perspective. Just very much so. Like, hey, when you see someone doing something, instead of being like, oh, be like, well, they feel kind of compelled to do that. So, maybe that came from somewhere else. And is there anything wrong with someone trying to look out for someone, that kind of stuff? So I feel like maybe that's what we, at least I know I'm about. So I think that's kind of cool.
Well, yeah, one of the things that when I was doing the show with Kurt at the AM station, so that was leaning right. One of the things I made sure to let people know every single day, I go, listen, when I say I'm a centrist, it's not because I'm wishy-washy and I can't pick a side or anything. It's because when I see the issues, I don't see this or that. I see this and that, and this whole thing can't be unless you have this and that. Okay, an example would be the talk. Like our body, the human body. Okay, we're walking. We need the right foot and then the left foot, and the right foot and the left foot in order to move the body forward. Also in that example, then I would say that I'm part of the body, and so are most of the people in America. And those that consider themselves firm on the left and firm on the right, as long as you guys, in different times, you keep the body moving forward. You're right. You're left, right, left, right. But now, the left foot's going this way, the right foot's going that way, and we're doing this split, and it's really hurting our crotch.
Yeah, that's right.
There's a lot going in our groin right now, and the rest of us in America are not happy. And that's why we're sick and tired, like in our own state right now. Adam Putnam, I saw another commercial yesterday where he's going to go take care of the liberal elites. Wait, of course, you're going to have the guy on the other side that's going to go take care of the liberal or the conservative elites, or whatever. I don't need to hear that rhetoric anymore. You guys have caused this horrible straddle, and it is hurting our groin here in America.
I like it, man.
We need to get you back on track.
Yeah, I like it. I think that makes perfect sense.
All right, so what time do you guys have to take off?
Now.
Right now.
Damn.
All right.
Deuces.
Yeah.
All right, well, I've got some stuff to talk about with the people that stick around. Damn it. All right, well, have fun and good luck, you guys.
Yeah. Well,
what time is the meeting?
Do you want us to Skype in from the road?
If you listen, if you want to Skype in from the road, Skype in from the road. I tell you what, why don't I keep Messenger open? That might be, if I keep Skype or Messenger open, do you think they'll?
How about we just we can Messenger's fine. If you can connect to us via Messenger, we'll do that. That way we can be listening to the show, and if we want to,
well, listen,
pipe in, we can.
You don't have to. Right. But if you guys feel compelled or something, hey, you got a thought or whatever, and you're on the road, then go ahead and message.
Yeah. So real quick before we leave,
all right.
So you were talking about like left, right, like what is this show? Are we the center? That type of thing. And I think there's an element of that. I think the fact that you've got the left and the right side of the body, that's the argument for diversity, right?
Right.
Because that's where the best ideas come from, where you take a look at all sides of an issue, right?
Yeah.
And that's the argument for diversity. So diversity of thought, I think, is extremely important to a democracy, right?
Exactly.
What I would hope for our show is that we're just principled. So what the viewers expect is they expect Chris to be Chris and Chris to be Chris, right? So if you surprise them all of a sudden, and now you take this wildly different opinion that they wouldn't expect from you. Like, your principles come from some area of reason or logic or whatever.
Yeah,
when it comes to politics, it's like, how do your principles apply to public policy? So whether, like, the rules you live by, are they, how do you get through the day? How do you justify your actions? All those types of things. And can those be applied to the masses in a successful system that can help the most people, right?
Yeah.
And so I think that's where, like, people go, okay, well, my principles, like, are more left. My principles are more right. Whatever, but I would just ask that both of you just and I think what your principles are and about how you treat humankind and everything else, and
stand firm in them.
Just be principled.
Yeah, I mean, you saw when Dion was here, everything was cool, and then all of a sudden Trump came into the conversation. You got fired up, he got fired up, and I was like, wait, and I was trying to see, what he was saying. I was trying to get him to see what you were saying, and that's exactly what we're talking about. That might be the bringing together. So, and that's principles. Like, hey, man, I
want to have him back. I want to have him back in soon too, because not that conversation got out of control or anything like that. But you're right.
It was not a Molly conversation.
I did get pinged a little bit, and so I'd like to come back and have a little bit more of a level-headed conversation about some of the things.
Right. Well,
all right,
we're going to drive safe.
All right, good luck.
Safely.
What time did you say the meeting was?
He wants us to at his house. He's going to be there around like 3:30, so give him like half an hour. So we'll be there around 4.
What? So
it's 3.5 hours.
Where are you guys? Oh my goodness!
It's going to be a trip.
Holy smokes!
We're hanging out. Man, I can't wait to get back on that road. I used to, when you're traveling all the time, like, it becomes a part of you. Now I've stopped because all the gigs are like 30 minutes away further. So now to be able to have like some time and just read a little book and something, it's gonna be great.
All right. Well, you're gonna be driving, Chris. What are you talking about? No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
All right, guys. So we'll see you tomorrow. I'll see you tomorrow. All
right. Yeah. Good luck with the meeting today.
All right. Thanks so much,
Chris.
Chris.
Thank you, and thank you so much to the. To the sponsor for the first 15 minutes, which ended up being 23 minutes.
I want people to chime in when they've gotten a quote from Single Source that we can actually show them that
all right.
we're driving quotes. If
okay.
You've got a chance, if your insurance is coming up, give them a try.
All right.
I actually called them today.
When it comes to I know you guys couldn't hear him off mic there, but what he was saying is we'd like to hear from you guys if you do get a quote from Single Source, how your experience was. We obviously more than appreciate the partnerships that come along with the Wake.Show, and we also want to know on their end, because one of the things that excites Single Source about their own company is the way that their customer service compares to the big guys out there. And so put them to the test, let me walk that statement back just a hair. Test it out. Don't put them to the test. Just test it out. And if your insurance policy is coming up or something, give them a call. Go to their website, singlesourceins.com, and see what they can do for you. Good morning, Brett, Chris, Kane, and also Nikki. Good morning. We all know what side I'm on, but I listen to others with an open mind. I love hearing different opinions. I love to debate intelligently. I don't agree with everything on either side. Deirdre says, Deirdre, what does he call you? Deirdre? And for those of you watching on my personal page right now, Chris Fisher 54321, this will be the last week of the live stream to my personal page. It'll originate from the Wake.Show starting next week from here on out, and we'll just we'll share it on the personal page, but it'll probably be easier for you and better for us if you just go ahead and switch on over to the Wake.Show, facebook.com/thewake.show. Don't put any spaces in between. We'll hit on this day real quickly and then move on with some of the issues of the day. You see in the body that I put a little something, and I'm bummed that Chris had to go because I really wanted to talk to him about this Kendrick Lamar thing. So we're going to have to, you and me will have to have a discussion about the N-word in public without Chris being here. I don't know if we've been given that kind of pass or not. So we'll just make sure that we, keep it civil. But right now, this is the 1 year anniversary of the 2017 Manchester Arena bombing during the Ariana Grande concert. Just moments after the Ariana Grande, or after she finished the final song of her May 22nd, 2017 concert at Manchester Arena, suicide bomber detonated an explosion on the premises, killing 22 concertgoers and injuring 116 more. ISIS claimed responsibility for what was the deadliest act of terrorism in Britain since the 2005 London metro bombings. The scene full of youthful fun turned to panic and violence as shrapnel and fire tore through a crowd pouring out of the arena's busiest exit. Witnesses said that they heard an explosion and saw a flash of light. Some were knocked down by the blast while others scrambled for safety and chaos. So 1 year ago today. Also, 1 year, or not 1 year ago, on this day in 1843, the Great Immigration departs for Oregon, later known as the Oregon Trail. And if you got, it was Oregon Trail out of the schools by the time some of you got into school? Because for those, I graduated in 1990. And so we did have computers in school back then, jerks. Jerks, I meant for those of you getting ready to make fun of me for being old and not having technology. And one of the games that they had at school was the Oregon Trail, and I loved that game. Was never good at it, but I loved it. I always wanted to be good at it. I think that's what it was. It fascinated me, but I sucked. Elliot, good morning. How are you? Oh, did you guys watch the game last night? Oh, man, they beat the snot out of us. Lightning Capitals. Tom Jones takeaways from the Game 6. This is coming from the TampaBay.com. Caps D, Dmitry Orlov, has one of the most wicked slap shots in hockey. Next up, whenever the Lightning gets in trouble, i.e. running around, giving up scoring chances, losing momentum, it puts a line of Ryan, da-da-da-da-da. Okay, so that's coming out. Here's what I saw last night. I watched up into the third quarter, and I just couldn't, or third period, I couldn't take it. I had to fall asleep, or I fell asleep. They were beating the snot out of us. It was one of those games where watchers going, oh, very physical, very violent game. It was a lesson in how to lose. Oregon Trail dysentery death. Yep, I think almost every single time. Either starved or got attacked by something, eaten by something. And it's tough to go win 3 games in somebody else's home ice. Yesterday during the show, we were talking about it, and, I said if I was gambling, if I were betting on this game, I could not put money on the Lightning last night. It's all right. They got handled. They got manhandled. That'll piss them off, and we'll be back home on tomorrow night, here at the Emily, and hopefully they take them down here. And we move on to the Stanley Cup Finals. Speaking of which, I won't be out doing karaoke tomorrow night. Not that, I don't know. I won't be doing karaoke tomorrow night at a Park and Rec. We're going to take a week off. I might go out there just to watch the game, though. Nikki graduated in 1991. Nikki, make sure you start watching the show from the Wake.Show page, if you could, please. We're going to migrate everything over to there, and this live feed on the personal page will end this week. All right, you guys ready to talk about some of the stuff that was in, I've got the fisheye news, the stuff that I picked out? Kendrick Lamar interrupts white fan after she raps the N-word on stage. Warning, graphic language. So this is a very interesting story. I think it is anyway. Maybe it's not. Maybe it is very cut and dry. And but it's not to me. Oh, shoot. What happened? There we go. Boom. My bad. Hold, please. Let's get a shot of the Wake.Pups sleeping. Oh, there's little Roxy and Joey. Make sure you follow the Wake.Pups on Instagram. Kendrick Lamar was forced to step in after a white female fan he invited up on stage at a music festival dropped the N-word 3 times while rapping along to one of his songs. I'm torn here. I understand the power of the N-word. I get it. But this man just won the Pulitzer. And I feel like free expression and speech should be such a fundamental thing of being Kendrick Lamar. But I guess it just goes to show you the power of the N-word, because in this moment, man, I wish I were there. I wish I were there for this moment. Kendrick Lamar was forced to step in. Lamar 30 was in the middle of his Sunday night set at the Hangout Music Festival in Alabama when he invited. Oh, Alabama. Okay, we're narrowing it down now. In the middle of a Sunday night set at the Hangout Music Festival in Alabama, where he invited several lucky fans of stage to join him, performing his 2012 track, Mad City, M-A-A-D City. After a concert goer named Rohan killed it, quote unquote, killed it, one Twitter user said, and respectfully avoided rapping the racial slur. So I guess there was multiple people up there, and as he was passing around the mic, or however this was going down, one, as the N-word pops up, doesn't hit the N-word, just moves forward. Well, this chick, this white girl, Delaney, skipped the word the first time it came up. All right. So the first time, she's like, I don't know. But she was feeling it the second time, started to build, but failed to censor herself on the second, third, and fourth times, prompting an audible groan from the crowd. So Lamar cut the music and repeatedly said, wait, after the third N-word left Delaney's mouth. Quote, I'm not cool enough for you. What's up, bro? Oh, she goes, am I not cool enough for you? What's up, bro? She said, eliciting boos and foul language from the audience. My boy Rohan kind of knew the rules a little bit, Lamar explained. You got to bleep one single word, though. So Delaney quickly apologized and questioned whether she actually even said the word, to which the Pulitzer Prize-winning rapper confirmed, yes, you did. Lamar asked the crowd if he should give Delaney another shot. And despite the resounding boos, he did, after double-checking with her that the slip-up wouldn't happen again. Delaney did skip the word for the second go-around, but the rapper still opted to cut her time on the stage short. A concert-goer who filmed the performance and shared it on Twitter explained that part of the reason the crowd was so angry was because Delaney had been begging to join Lamar on stage. Kendrick asked her if she was sure, and she said yes. So, like, don't blame Kendrick. This girl just has no filter, the Twitter user wrote. The fan added the vibe was so off that the rapper followed up the encounter with his track, Bitch Don't Kill My Vibe. And I believe that's the end of the story. So, Chris asked, how many times does he drop it in the song? Well, I guess he drops it at least 4 times in the song. I wasn't there. I understand the sensitivity of the N-word. From an artist perspective, though, I think in that moment, it's not easy. When you say, this is what I would do, you would. I wasn't in the moment because there were boos coming out. So sometimes you feel in the crowd and you got to roll with that. But I think what I would have liked to see, how about that? I would have loved to see in that moment is Kendrick Lamar go, hold on with the boos. Is what she's saying offending you? When I say it, does it offend you? All right. This is my art. This is my stage. We're in a place where this is about free speech. This is about expression. She's up here sitting next to me. That's pretty much giving somebody a pass. If I bring you up on stage to sing my songs with me, that's giving you that pass that you white people want so badly. So there you go. Boom. And then there you go. Then the crowd's going, yeah, and you're working to bring us all together, I think, in that moment, and to understand each other's perspective. Whereas it was, I'm bringing you up on stage to sing one of my songs, and you should intuitively know that because you're not the same color I am, that when we get to the N-word in my song that I wrote the lyrics to, you can't say it. Well, all right, well, you probably should have given me that heads up before we got on stage, because then I would have went like, blah, 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 blah. And every time the N-word came up, just put the microphone in front so you could hit the N-word nice and hard. Now, so I want to go to the comment section here. We're going to go, hit a couple of comments. Like I said, I hate that that Chris McCarty's not in here, so we could have less of a one-sided viewpoint of this and have a better discussion about it. Pat Largo said it was kind of entrapment. It was entrapment in a sense. How many times? If you shouldn't say it, why is it in the song? Says Nikki. Again, that's where I think it would be. This conversation would be best if Chris was in here right now, but he's not. And I'm not angry. I'm not pounding my fist going, oh, look at the hypocrisy. I guess maybe if anything, I'm looking at this as a possibly missed opportunity by the Pulitzer Prize winner. Like I said, maybe this is a chance for him to go, hey, crowd, I understand why you're booing, and I appreciate that. I brought this person up here. This is my song. I wrote these lyrics, and this person is nailing the lyrics. All right? So let's talk about that, or whatever. Use that moment to kind of go, oh, yeah, you're right. Not start dividing the room and going, oh, you're allowed to do this on this side. You're allowed to do this on this side, but you can't do this on this side, and you can't do this on this side. Just throwing it out there. No, I have not. Have you heard the Sing Freaky Friday, Chris Brown, A Little Dicky? I don't know if I have or not. All right, off of that, and we'll move off the racial stuff and move on to something else. Real quickly, in Florida politics, I got a couple of things back to back in Florida politics. I want to do this too. The first one is this. I'm surprised this is a story that has leg. Well, I guess I'm not anymore. I was in the beginning, but I guess I'm not anymore because of, the state of things in America right now. And that is shoppers begin Publix boycott as chain continues support of Adam Putnam for governor. This is coming from TampaBay.com. And at the beginning of the week, when we first heard the story, and we're talking about Publix donating the most money they've ever donated to a Florida candidate like this, I said, I can't get by. I love Publix, and I'm not going to stop shopping at Publix. We will not be protesting anything. They can support. Listen, my lack of support for somebody like Adam Putnam is less about Adam Putnam and more about a little broader ideology now. And that is when I hear a candidate trying to divide us in order to get votes, which is what Adam Putnam is doing in his campaign, then I'm out. You don't have a chance. I do not want any more politicians who are going that, for Adam Putnam, using the term liberal elite. And if it's somebody on the right and they're talking about they're going to go after all the NRA supporters or whatever it is, for those of you still trying to divide us, it probably is going to work. I'm different. All right. I know most people you're going to be able to affect. You're going to push their buttons. As a matter of fact, I guarantee you the reason that he's using the terminology liberal elite so much is because their base, that's one of their triggers, so it gets them worked up and they're going to get to the polls. I am looking for candidates who still believe in compromise, still think that this is a country that's driven forward by the left foot, right foot, left foot, right foot, left foot, right foot. Not somebody who wants to chop off one of the effing feet and drag this country into one direction or the other. So that brings us to the next story coming out of Florida. All right, see, another reason why I like when Chris is in here is because in moments like that where you can tell I'm starting to get a little too pointed and focused on something that's really not there, that he calms me down. He gives me the little, hey, buddy, it's okay, it's okay. We're all about love. Elliot says, I've never boycotted a company for their politics. Chick-fil-A would be a first if I ever decided to, but I can respect a product as a separate entity from a creator. Elliot, I know what you mean about that too. It bothered me. Not their I mean, everybody can have their own politics, and I can disagree with certain things, but that they actively spent millions of dollars to deny Americans the pursuit of happiness, or to try to deny Americans the pursuit of happiness, does bother me some. But they are such ardent religious people that they don't even open their store on Sunday. So there's a part of me that goes, well, you can't be mad, because they are. Matter of fact, I almost want to give them a little bit more respect than some other religious organizations or religiously minded people out there, because, at least they're not being hypocrites, where so many other people will, like when, I know it's been years now, when what's-his-face was putting on the green jacket, but what's his name? Got a redneck name, not Bo, not Buster. Damn it. Dark-haired guy, kind of, what the hell's his name? Anyway, he's sitting there not putting on the, I'm exaggerating by saying putting on the green jacket as he's making the statement. That wasn't the case, but he had just won the Masters, and then starts going, well, listen, I'm sorry, I can't support homosexuality because what it says in the Bible, sorry, it's not on me. And I lose my mind and start strangling the microphone that day because of the hypocrisy that mother effer will sit there and work on a Sunday and collect a big check on a Sunday in front of the world. But this other thing, well, it says it in the Bible. It says a lot of shit. So if you're going to start going there and picking out, what works for you, what doesn't work, then we're going to have conversations about it. Sorry. Bubba Watson. Thank you. I said redneck. All right. I knew it was a redneck name. Bubba Watson. That's who it was. Thank you. Thank you, Pat Largo. You're right. Let's see. Molly, woman is pissed at Publix for not writing summa cum laude on her son's graduation cake. They did instead of... What? No way. So they have a list of words that they're not allowed to put on their cakes, which I understand. And because of the way that summa cum laude... I'm Googling this one. This seems like a... excuse me. I believe you, Molly. I just have to look it up. Hey, Kurt. How you doing, buddy? Malaya, how are you? Publix. Summa. Yep. That is a real thing. Holy smokes. That is insane. Public supermarket in South Carolina censors high school graduate summa cum laude cake. This is so funny. Oh my gosh, I can't wait to watch late night television tonight because this ignorance coming out of South Carolina, the joke's writing itself. And so they're so stupid that they don't even know the irony, that they don't even know what summa cum laude represents, because I don't know what it means either. But I know that it means that you're smart. We're guessing the folks at this particular public supermarket didn't graduate summa. There we go. They got the joke right there in the first line. The story starts with a proud mom ordering a cake online for her son's graduation party. On it, she wanted the words, "Congrats, Jacob, summa cum laude class 2018. But then she found out that the software at the Publix near the home in West Ashley, South Carolina, refused to use the word cum, sorry, in the decoration. Sorry about that. I didn't do that on purpose. Cum in the decoration on top of the cake because they consider it to be profane. Undaunted, the woman used a special instructions box to explain that the offending word was part of a Latin phrase for academic honors that meant with, so that's loud, it translates to honors or distinction, and summa as highest. So according to a report, she even included a link to a website explaining the meaning reported to you. This is so funny. Do you see the picture on your screen? they got 3 dashes where the CUM would go. Too funny. Oh, ignorance is hilarious when nobody gets hurt. Okay? Ignorance is fun when nobody gets hurt. Ignorance is bad when people get hurt. This ignorance is astounding, says Chris. So, according to Lauren, it usually means you graduated with like a 3.9 GPA or higher. Thank you, Molly, for that story. Holy smokes, that is so awesome. What is going on here? Is that my actual... Wow, these advertisements are getting more and more. They're learning. These online ads are learning. I don't know if you saw it or not, but all of a sudden something just keeps bouncing at the bottom of my screen, and I think it's one of my programs that are open that needs my attention, but it's not. It is somebody's design. I don't think it is anyway. But somebody's designed it added that way. Oh no, never mind. Never mind. It was my computer giving me a warning. Now I'm thinking that's genius for those of you in that industry to go ahead and make banners that look like one of your little, programs are calling you. Except I don't hate you for it. For being so manipulative. All right, next up. Okay. We didn't even. Oh, I'm sorry. We didn't even get the second part of the politics that I wanted to get into. So that's why this next story is intriguing to me. This is interesting to me. We were talking about I'm giving no attention whatsoever to somebody like Adam Putnam and any politician that is continuing to use divisive language and trying to continue to divide. Let's not continue to divide us. They are playing on what's already happening in the country. They're playing on the fear and the anger and the ignorance that's out there already. Not just one political party. It's happening on both sides. And so I'm done as an American. How about you? Are you done with that too as an American? Well, here we go. I don't know if this has a snowball's chance, but Patrick Murphy and David Jolly, this is again happening here in the state of Florida, two guys that have been were running for politics last time around and now have teamed up to run for the governorship. With Patrick Murphy at the top of the ticket, meaning he's a Democrat, meaning he's going to run for governor. If he wins his primary, then that's when you get to select. That's when you select your lieutenant governor. And that is going to be David Jolly, who is a Republican. So they're running as a purple ticket. All right. Again, I don't know if this has a snowball chances in hell. And I bet you anything, if I were to have a pundit in here, a political pundit, they would go, don't even bother with the story. It's nothing. They have no chance. However, maybe, to me, it is a signal of things trying to change. Sometimes they take, sometimes those things don't take. But to me, this excites me to see a Democrat and a Republican going, all right, let's come together for America. Not let's sit here and go, oh, my party needs to drag everything to this side, and my party needs to drag everything to this side, and that causes a lot of tension for the rest of us. So I don't think I'm gonna hit. I don't need to go into some of the details of their platforms or anything like that. But basically, they're hitting. They're on the television now, hitting the cable circuit. They haven't even filed the official paperwork yet. So to me, it still seems like they may be in the what do they call that phase? Whatever that phase is, as they're trying to figure out whether or not there's enough interest to get to a certain level, and that probably means raising money. Boom. So that's it for politics on today's Wake.Show. Oh, I wanted to show you a picture of this guy. Holy crap. Did you guys see him in the news today? Do you know the story? So, this mentally deranged man out of the state of Florida. A Florida man has been arrested for disorderly conduct after he reportedly climbed onto playground equipment at a Clearwater Park Sunday and yelled at children in the area. Police arrested Otis Dwayne Ryan, 30, after the incident. Ryan created a disturbance by swearing and disrupting a street performance, constituting a breach of the peace. The street performance had to stop due to his actions. Ryan was reportedly swearing in front of the children and dancing into the performance. When he was asked to leave by the performer, Ryan said, "F you." Several people in the area attempted to approach and remove Ryan from the area due to his actions, and a police officer witnessed Ryan's actions. So that's why I'm bringing up the stories for this very last line. Several people in the area attempted to approach and remove Ryan from the area. I want to meet these people, because if this man is in an area where I am and everybody seems cool except for this guy, keeps butting in and yelling F you, I'm not approaching him. I'm not going, "Hey buddy, hey, come here." Because I'm thinking, you got that much ink on your face and you're acting like that at the same time. Not just because you have the ink on your face, because I have a good friend of mine who has more ink in his face, but he's the exact opposite of an aggressive jerk. He's kind of a hippie. He's way out there. But if you see a man dancing around and disturb and he's obviously trying to agitate. To me, it would read like he wants to get into some trouble. I'm not approaching him. Well, Florida man. You always got to click in the stories that start with a Florida man. Speaking of Florida too, this was it's not a big deal. I think I brought it up because this past weekend, one of my brothers and his wife and their kids were out in Jenny Springs. They spent the weekend camping. They had stories about snakes. They're out paddleboarding and snakes coming in the water. And one of the kids freaking out because they're going, "Don't move. Just stay on your paddleboard. The snake will, come by." And now the way they tell the story to me goes, "And it'll go around your board and you'll be fine. Don't jump off the board." Well, the first thing I think of is that's not what I've heard from people who fish and people in that profession. From what I understand, snakes go in a straight line when they're doing stuff like that. And so that's why so many snakes end up inside boats, is because they don't go around. They'll try to go up and over, keeping that straight line before they, find their way around. But anyway, all right, we'll come back to that, Kurt. Thank you. So anyway, this is a story about a dude. Oh, South Carolina. It wasn't here in Florida. South Carolina was just moving along in his kayak, and this thing does not come out of the water. It drops into his kayak from above. That's right. It was in an airplane. It was in a tree. 28-year-old was with some friends kayaking on the river when a snake dropped in from a tree and bit him twice. The chances of this happening to any one of us are likely lower than winning the lottery. Yet, when you see a story like this, it just makes you shiver. Even though it's a 0.0000001% chance you'll ever be in this scenario, it's still one of those things that terrifies you. And when you're kayaking, it'll make you look up into the trees for a couple of days. All right, a couple more things before you get out of here. All right, first of all, back to the comments. Kurt Schreiner, there may be a legal challenge to Murphy and Jolly running together. Something about having to swear you have been with the party you are running with for a year. Of course. They make it that much harder to pull out once you must assimilate to your party. You're no longer the person you once were. You must assimilate and start. Next thing you know, you got this attachment here, an attachment on the back of your head, an attachment in your torso. When people try to tell me God loves you, I ask them, why is it that snakes can swim then? Samuel L. Jackson stars in Snakes on a Kayak. Thank you very much, Elliot. Chris. Ever seen a fat man swim fast? I would have been Michael Phelps in that snake situation. Me too, man. Me too. I would, yeah, because if I've seen I know that snakes can go in the water, will go in the water, and not all of them are poisonous if they're in the water. But if I'm in Florida and there's a snake in the water, I'm going to assume it is a moccasin, and I will not be happy about it. Oh, they said, by the way, over the weekend, the story I was telling you about my brother and his wife. So the little girl, she's probably 11-ish, 11, on the paddleboard, and they said, stay on the paddleboard, don't jump off. She freaked out and jumped off, and right as she hits the water, the snake goes underwater. So then, of course, everybody else freaking out even more because all you're picturing is obviously the snake is swimming right towards the little girl. Also, Steve, I want to let you know that this will be the last week of me doing a live stream right to my personal Facebook page. If you could switch over to the Wake.Show, and we'll take care of business there. You're right, Molly. Nightmares are made out of that. You're right. So a couple of things before we get out of here. One, Amazon is pushing facial recognition to police, prompting an outcry over surveillance. People are getting more and more worried. So in 2016, Amazon introduced a new online service that could help identify faces and other objects in images, offering it to anyone at a low cost through its giant cloud computing division. Right? Not long after that, it began pitching the technology to law enforcement agencies, saying the program could aid criminal investigations by recognizing suspects in photos and videos. It used a couple of early customers, like the Orlando Police Department and Washington County Sheriff's Office in Oregon, to encourage other officials to sign up. But now that aggressive push is putting the giant tech company at the center of an increasingly heated debate around the role of facial recognition in law enforcement. Fans of the technology see a powerful tool for catching criminals. Detractors say it's mass surveillance. So is this a great technology to catch criminals, or is it mass surveillance, or is it both? I think the reality is when you're in the bigger cities, these cameras are everywhere and you don't even know it. You know, from the cameras that the cities use themselves, have put up themselves, to all the businesses, you know, around town and residences around town have their own personal ones up. I know it seems like some dystopian Terminator future, but I don't know that I do have a problem with this. Because basically if it's keeping track of people, like for instance, if it's scanning everybody's faces and does not lock onto a face unless it thinks it matches somebody we are looking for, a criminal, then I'm okay with that. If it's scanning everybody's face and keeping track of everybody's face, so technically somebody could go in and put together your movements and da-da-da-da, even though you had not committed any crimes, there's no reason to follow you, then I do have a problem with that. That does not happen, okay? But, I mean, the camera's already out there. It's basically using a software so that when somebody who's wanted by the law, for whatever reason, they pass in front of one of these cameras, they'll get a little notice. What about you guys? Am I being naive in thinking that what I want wouldn't lead to the thing I don't want? Chris says, remember when it was illegal to buy, or I'm sorry, this is Chris Moore. Remember when it was illegal to bug or wiretap a home? Now we pay for them and name them Siri and Alexa. Well done, corporate America. You got us. They can already put that together with your phone. Literally every time I get in my car, my phone knows where I'm going down to the day of the week. It will automatically navigate me to trivia night. It's true. And if I'm sitting in a certain place at a certain time, it always knows. It'll ask me if I want to open Twitter, because you're at this place at this time, and you usually go to Twitter first when you're sitting on the toilet. So, Mr. Fisher, would you like me to open Twitter for you? You're right. So I think this is one of those things where it does seem like that dystopian future that we all fear, but we're already there. And I don't know that this makes it any worse. Maybe I've just submitted. Maybe I've just submitted to the future. This is the way it is, and we can't fight it. And lastly, on a lighter note, coming out of this, unless you are very frustrated and annoyed with how many times the state of Florida pops up in the news, and not in a positive way. This is not in a horrible way. This is in a fun way, but it still might be a little annoying. A Florida city issues a zombie alert to residents during power outage. See? Not so horrible. I don't know if you can look at your screen or not, if you're available to look at your screen, but here you go. I'll show you. I'll make it big enough for you to see. Power outage and zombie alert for residents of Lake Worth and Terminus. There are now far less than 7,380 customers involved due to extreme zombie activity. Restoration time is uncertain. It's coming from ABC Action News this morning, or what I pulled it from. Residents of Florida City received alerts about a power outage were also warned to look out for zombies. That's right, zombies. This all happened in Lake Worth. Now, here's the thing. About 7,800 customers did lose power in that area. It was not due to zombies. It was restored within 30 minutes, but that alert went out. They don't know how, so they're looking into that, or at least by the time I got on the air today, on the stream today, they didn't know who did it. But the funny thing is, at the end of this, they did not mention, when they clarified, they did not mention what the real cause of the outage was. So maybe it is zombie activity. This person was obviously a fan of The Walking Dead, because there's another word in there that points to that. A little clue. What's the word? Terminus. Terminus was a place in The Walking Dead universe. All right, and there you go. There you go. Satisfied? Satiated? Me neither. We'll have to do it again tomorrow. Learn anything today, or you got to come back tomorrow, is what my dad used to say when I'd come home. When I'd come home from school, did you learn anything today, or do you have to go back tomorrow? And when I was little, that stumped me for quite a few years. You would think there's an easy, retort to it, but it stumped me for quite a long time. And it frustrated me as a little kid, because I did learn something that day, but I also had to go back the next day. And then finally one day, he throws that at me. Did you learn anything today, or do you have to go back tomorrow? I go, nope, didn't learn anything today. Got to go back tomorrow. And then he stopped asking me that question. Corge is checking in from the road. He says that Chris McCarty's already sleeping in the car. Well, good. He needs his rest, Corge. He needs his rest. Where are you guys? Before we go, where are you guys watching the game tomorrow night? You staying home? There's a part of me that wants to go out just because I have. Damn it! No, I have the night off. Stay home, rest. Stay home and rest. Stay home and rest. But I have Wednesday night off. That's Game 7, and not normally I do, because I have to do karaoke at Park and Rec. But Steven called, the owner there, and said, "Hey man, don't worry about karaoke on Wednesday. We're gonna have a big blowout for the Tampa Bay Lightning." I was like, "All right, cool. No worries." So now I'm thinking, well, maybe I'll go to Park and Rec as a patron, as a customer, and just enjoy the night like everybody else instead of having to work. And then I'm thinking, well, you just lost X amount of dollars because you're not working that night. Now you want to go spend Y amount of dollars on top of that. So I will be staying at home with a 4-pack of Guinness or something. Liked it so much, I'm doing it again. What are you talking about, Chris? Pat says, I'm watching at the Largo Lair, Pasco's best kept secret. Best kept secret, except for the women you have trapped in your basement. Thanks for the Run for All Children love yesterday. Best in the biz. Deidre, it was great to see you over the weekend. And she was talking about the All Children's event, the race over the weekend that I was talking about yesterday. It was so awesome. I still. And that saying is right. If you're go out and do something for somebody else, and you'll feel better. If you start getting you're getting down, go do something for somebody else, and you'll feel better. All right, that's about it. Thank you so much, everybody, for being a part of the Wake.Show today. Thank you to Single Source Insurance. Check them out at singlesourceins.com. Don't forget, this will be the last week of us streaming onto my personal page. So migrate yourself over to, we have very lax immigration laws. So you can go from this site over to the Wake.Show without having a passport or a visa. Oh, what I should have said to my dad? Chris liked it so much, I'm doing it again. Yeah. I should have said, no, Dad learned everything I need to know today. Don't need to go back. So what's next? All right. Well, why don't you come to work with me, son? No, thanks. All right. Thank you so much again. Have a great day. We'll do this again tomorrow. Oh, tonight. Wait, what's today? Yeah, Tuesday. Tonight, join me out at the beach for trivia night if you'd like. That's Boulevard Burger starting at 7 o'clock, 7 till about 8:45. And other than that, I guess, Chris McCarty's on the road right now. on the way to have a meeting with James Golden, who is the producer of the Rush Limbaugh Show, and is excited about what we are doing here. No, it has nothing to do with politics or conservatism or liberalism or anything like that. He loves Chris, and they've known each other for a very long time and wants to do what he can to help take this show to the next level, even if it's just advice on what we should do. But so wish us luck on that meeting today. We're also joining a network that I will tell you about sometime in the next couple of days, and it's either going to be this week or next week, I believe. Still working on the technical aspect of that. And then that's about it. All right, so have a great day. Thank you so much. Be kind to yourself, be good to your fellow man, and and remember to let your crazy breathe just a little bit. Don't get it on anybody.